Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the Let's Trot Show, where we dive deep into week 2 of the NRL finals. I'm your host, Josh Mansell, and today we have yet again another special episode lined up for you all. It's a massive week for 4 teams as the pressure intensifies and they fight it out for the survival to continue their quest to NRL glory. For today's episode, we have 2 former players joining me to break down both of these weekends' do-or-die games, give our predictions, and explore what separates the great sides from the cellar dwellers. Sit back and enjoy. What's good culture look like to you?
Buy in. You know, you had to buy in.
I grew up in the culture at Parramatta that was really, really good. I went into this week thinking it's a 2-horse race.
Me too.
And I left the weekend thinking even more so it's a 2-horse race. Like none of those teams are going to beat Melbourne or Penrith.
Let's start off with that first game.
Ruthless sauce. I mean, I have never seen a team want to rip your limbs off, take your heart, rip your throat out the way they did that.
What about Sharks, bud? Do you think they got what it takes to win this weekend?
Well, let's address the elephant in the room. Like, Nico, right? He just looks blank, you know? It doesn't look like he's obviously not enjoying the moments.
I think Melbourne are a powerhouse, man. Like, I can't pick who's going to win out of them Penrith because they'll be their grand final day, but I can't pick who's going to win that.
Timmy, Red, thanks for joining us, boys.
Joshua.
Tim, I'll start with you, mate.
Thank
How's
you, mate.
things?
Very good, thank you. Good to see you.
Well, I saw you rocking up in your nice business attire. I thought we were actually going to roll into the show with that suit on, but
Well, I take this very seriously, so I want to impress you and come, but obviously you didn't take it as seriously as me, so I made a quick costume change.
well, you're very obviously comfortable with your body. You know, obviously stripping in the middle of the street. Mate, you're looking good. Are you still keeping fit? What are you doing?
Mate, I have to keep fit because I eat a lot. So I train, I enjoy training, but I eat like an idiot.
Oh yeah. And what's that eating like an idiot look like to you?
Probably, yeah, I got a sweet tooth. That's where I let myself down. And the rest of it's not too bad, but yeah, I eat a lot of sweets.
I'm the same. What gets me is at night, I just like rotting on the couch and just eat a shitload of junk food. Anyway, gets the best of us.
Yeah, mine's red wine.
Really?
Yeah.
There's more sugar in, so my missus
Yeah.
pumps it out. Like,
Yeah, love
it's
red.
not the most nutritious, like the nutritious food for you, is it? Like a drink.
It's more about the feeling of being a little bit tipsy and, you know.
Well, isn't one glass of red wine good for the heart? I've heard.
Yeah, what about a bottle?
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. Well, obviously, Red back-to-back weeks.
You're happy with your body though, aren't you?
Mate,
yeah, because I know.
I was trying to change the subject because I had a feeling.
Media, like there's a couple of shirts off photos. There's a couple of things that you're not shy to get off.
You know what? Since you brought it up, so I just went to the gym today. You know, as you're doing hump day, and I just thought I'd do 10K on the bike. You know, cruisy 53 minutes. You know, then a little bit of a strength block. Did some weights, sauna after.
Yeah.
That's
And
me done.
sorry, just without getting distracted before we keep going on. I've got no hair, so that's and you're convinced that your hair's fine. You're convinced it's not creeping back.
It's definitely not creeping back.
It's like a slow tide going out to
Listen,
sea.
I heard Rennie on one of
Yeah.
his podcasts talking about the Turkey 13. He'd probably be up
There
front.
could be a chance. Oh, he'd be up front.
Yeah,
no,
there's-
you know
no,
what?
it's on
What I
done.
said, he's succumb. He's succumb. When you've succumbed and you actually shave your head, it's the ones that are still trying to get a fade.
The ones that
Dylan Edwards, right?
He's succumbed.
He's succumbed.
Yeah,
He's accepted
I
it. He's
respect
accepted his
it.
fate.
There's a couple other names. We mentioned Angus Crichton. He played on a Saturday against the Titans.
Angus
The
Crichton,
optics
yeah,
of the...
He's
you know,
succumbed, hasn't he? He's embraced it.
I don't know. I said I'm willing to give him another season.
Yeah.
There's a few out there.
So Dave Gower and I, who,
Yeah.
Dave, I know we agree you held on too long, but the hunted becomes the hunter. So as soon as we both embrace it and succumb, then you're allowed to start attacking. And right now, I think there's a fair argument made. And Dave, if you're
Totally
here,
agree.
I would love to get your
There's a
opinion on Josh's
conversation to be
hairline.
had.
Yeah,
There is?
There is, yeah. Just maybe go to just clean up just so like it doesn't.
Yeah, well, this
Anyway.
this conversation's getting a bit touchy for me. Red, what's happening, brother? Back-to-back
March, my
weeks?
man, week 2 of the semis, mate. Been in Queensland, did a promo out in Lismore last week. Caught up with my man, Willie T.
How is he?
Actually, I went to watch Tugan and Currumbin A-grade play.
Okay.
Joel Thompson, Kevin Proctor,
Oh,
bumped
wow.
into Benny
Really?
Hannett. Yeah,
Well,
they're
old
playing.
boys.
Benny Hannett playing.
Benny Hannett wasn't playing. He was with Currumbin, but Tugan beat him. Nathan Pete's side. So
playing as well?
Pete's still
Pete's
playing?
injured. He's injured. But man, they put on a good grand final day for park footy. They had skydivers coming in, like on the hill, beautiful day. Few schooners with my brother and sister-in-law, and come back here,
that's
mate.
good.
I think we
That's
should
good.
take notes because
How's Big Willie? How's
Yeah, I was going to say, you're very close with Willie. What's
Willie
the
T?
what's the best moment you've had with Willie? What's your
Willie
favourite?
T.
Yeah, what's your
Oh,
favourite
look,
moment?
Look, he's
You
probably
too as well, Tim.
Mate, I've known T obviously over 20 years now. We lived together. You know, we hardly knew each other. He moved in, came to Maroubra, never drank, church boy.
Yeah.
I think he went away from that life for a while. He's gone back to the Bible. Our man Willie T, he's doing really well, mate. He's fit as a fiddle, weighs his food, weights every day.
Wow.
He's doing good.
Does he do much cardio? Like I want to like.
He came down and did boxing with me, and I said, mate, like he's so shredded.
Yeah.
He looks like he can throw him.
He lasted 2 rounds.
See, that's why I'm asking, because I reckon
2 rounds.
as footy players, we're so brain like washed. You got to smash yourself with cardio.
Yeah.
But I know so many people that are ripped without doing any cardio. They just do weights.
He said weights is the key.
Yeah, right.
See, I'm the other way around because I was a bad influence on him at the Dogs. I hated weights. Yeah. They were big on weights. So if he was partnered with me, it was 1, 2, skip a few. I would be looking out for the trainer. I just didn't like weights.
I've heard an interesting story about him and you. Something on the lines of Willie Th-onga. Could you share? Can you share that? I've heard on the grapevine, but I don't know if it's true. So I want to hear from the man himself.
Yeah, the Willie Th-onga, right? So back in 12, would have been 12 or 11. Hindies last year, right?
By the way, we were doing shoeies before they were even a thing, eh? Remember Darcy and that? Like, I know now they're
now they've taken off,
but
right?
back then we were the first ones doing it.
Shoeies, thongas, and they were called the Willie Th-onga.
Oh no, the Mad Hueys, were they the ones that started?
The Hueys did, but we created the Willie Th-onga. So back in the 211s and stuff like that. Remember, everyone wore Havianas.
Yeah,
yes.
So everyone was about 44 to 45, that size. And Fui used to steal everyone's thongs. Like every day you come to training, your thongs are gone missing. They're on Fui's feet. Fui had the worst feet you've ever seen.
Worst.
Like they were like, I used to call him Yoda toes. They were that old. It looked like a crocodile's like claw. It was just like rough. Like he could make a handbag out of his foot. And anyway, so I know Hindy brought up the story on the buy round about the Mad Monday and you can't get nude, all this and that. Willie Th-onga ain't getting nude. I said, all right, you got a skull, a bourbon and Coke out of Fui's thong. We called it a Willie Th-onga. So I had the thong like a taco, just like poured the bourbon down and didn't even hit his lips, and he's just projectile spewed everywhere because we all like you look at Fui's feet, they're disgusting. And the big steam train just sitting back in his locker, just pissing himself, mate.
There's probably some calluses left on those thongs as well.
Mate, his feet are rank, like the lowest things you've ever seen. So
I love that.
Look, Tong ain't getting nude, and he ain't sculling a drink out of Fui's thong.
It's pretty fair. You guys obviously played together. You got a good relationship.
Mate, Georgie.
Any stories stand out for you of one another? Any ammo that you can you spill the beans on?
No.
That's podcast worthy.
None of the podcast worthy. I was remembering the story about the oak the other day, but that's another one's probably not podcast worthy.
I think I know the one. No, mate, no. Wait till I go to the grave before you can tell that one.
So there was a pretty lean few years that poor Rennie came to the club at a bad time, but there was a few lean years, and the Royal Lake was the pub, like the local where
of course.
It's hosted the last 30 Mad Mondays for Para Eels. It's been knocked down since. Probably a good thing they knocked it down.
Gone?
It's gone, man.
No.
It's gone. It's just,
right.
Yeah. But we went there almost after every game, mate. So
like a ritual.
There's a lot of memories, but a lot of it probably isn't best for podcast.
Yeah.
Can you please share this story? I'm begging you here about that contact session you did when you were at Para, the captain's run session.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got flogged by Tigers the next day. And what eventuated after that? Can you please share that?
So at the beginning of the year, Sticky came to me and said, "You're captain." And I was like, "I ain't captain, mate. I'm captain off the field. On the field, I ain't captain." Yeah. He's like, "Mate, you got to be captain. The boys want you to be captain." And I said, "I'm not doing it." And he said, "Well, actually, yourself, Hainsey, and Timmy Mannah, joint captaincy."
The Holy Trinity.
Perfect. There you go. Anyway, the season started well. We flogged the Warriors, right?
I can't remember.
40-12. We beat them in the first game, and then it was like, Para's back. And then we got beat by 1 against the Dogs, and then it just slowly started to get harder and harder and harder. Anyway, it was just halfway through the season. We were having the worst year. We go out to Mudgee, and when Sticky's got red eyes, you know he's been up on the Terps all night. You're like, oh, fuck. Captain's run, hour and a half full contact.
Oh, yuck.
Full contact session.
Oh, yuck.
We play the Titans the next day. We get flogged. We're back at the hotel in Mudgee. Myself, Timmy, Hainsey, a couple of senior players. Bren, you got to go talk to Sticky. You got to talk to him. Like, you can't have us doing full contact sessions. And I was like, right, I'm going. Actually, we got the bus back from Mudgee. The next day, he made us train. He flogged us as well. Anyway,
all
the
well.
next day I go in his office. I said, mate, I've got to have a chat to you. And he goes, well, what's up? I said, mate, like, what's with the full contact session in a captain's run? And he was like, well, if you fucking soft bastards, and just turned, I was like, whoa. And then the next day, he sacked me. He sacked 12 of us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was the infamous
Wasn't
12
expecting
names
that.
on the board.
That was an awkward meeting, eh? Like,
What time of the year was this?
It was
halfway through.
That's ruthless.
yeah.
And,
like you walk into the Leagues Club, no one knew what was going on, and then
Yeah.
names up on the board, and everyone's just like, there was 3 categories. There was off-contract people that aren't getting re-signed, so see you later.
Yeah.
There's on-contract people that we don't want, so look elsewhere.
Oh,
And then there was undecided, like I haven't made up my mind yet.
Yeah.
So
Well,
imagine name, like, and everyone's like, where am I on that list?
Yeah.
Oh.
Was
No, he
this,
called
was this
me-
whiteboard like in the middle of the hallway where you walk past?
No,
Like,
it was in the Leagues Clubs, like a formal meeting. Yeah.
But the media knew all the 12 names by the end of the day. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but look, I was the only player he called in that morning and said, mate, you're on the list. And I said, sweet, I'll leave. I'm not leaving for anything less than what I'm meant to be on next year. And we had handshake agreement. And man-to-man, Sticky, he's a great guy. If he's got your back, he's got your back.
yeah.
You don't get on his bad side, you know. And
He'll turn you.
it was a rough year for everyone. And, you know, at the time, you're a little bit bitter about it, but it is what it is. And I got to go back to the Dogs for another year.
Yeah, Para fans have a pretty bad view of Stick, but I love him. Like, like even when I look back at when Johnny was playing under him at Sharks, you know, when Johnny got sick with cancer, he'd be at my parents' house visiting my parents, always checking in. Like, so no one knows all that stuff, but they think the world of him. Like, my parents love Sticky more than any other coach.
Yeah, he's solid. Stick's solid.
Yeah, so, and even now, like, I've got a great relationship with him. I do love him, but it was just a bad time. The club was just, and at the same time, I don't blame him at all for going to Canberra. Like, all the Para fans were bitter at him for leaving after the first year, but the reality was we had a board. They were telling him, hey, if you have a bad year, next year you're sacked.
Oh, wow.
Canberra, hey, he's 5 years. What do you need? What do you want? So I don't blame him for going.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 100%. Well, there was an exclusive of Jason Ryles. Obviously, his first interview within the club. Thoughts on Jason Ryles, like being the head coach? Like, do you guys have any dealings with him?
Besides playing against Rylesy, like, you know, especially in those mid-thousands, he was such a dominant force for the Dragons, a big front row, great player. Since he retired, I haven't had much to do with him, but I've heard nothing but good things. And he's obviously come through a system. He's with Melbourne and then Roosters.
He's done Roosters.
Was he at the Roosters?
Melbourne.
He went back to Melbourne.
Rugby.
Was he more of a defensive or an offensive side coach?
I wouldn't know as a coach,
Yeah,
but as a player, he was an enforcer. You know, such a big guy. You know when you're getting a front row as a coach, what his kind of expectations are.
I'm excited for him. I think, like, mate, the club's needed a change for a while.
Yeah.
And then he comes in. He's got the right idea of what he wants to do. He wants to build up the culture, kind of like what Sorella did at the Dogs. It needs a bit of a shake, that club, in terms of mixing things up. And I think he's a perfect guy for it. He gets it. He's been part of clubs that have nailed the culture piece, and he wants to make sure he brings that to Parramatta. So I'm excited. I think the fans need something to be excited about. And I think he's the guy to do it.
Well, is there much stability with the board these days, Tim? Like, I haven't been there for a long time. So
Yeah, no, stability's
Yeah,
there. So after 2016 salary cap stuff, they changed the constitution. So it's no longer you can get voted in and out every year or two. It's kind of they're there and they're stuck. Well, not stuck there. They're there for fair time.
Yep.
And then when they step down, I think they choose who jumps on. So there's stability there, which is good. And then new coach coming in, he's got the support of them, obviously. So the club's in better shape than it was when there was just every you know what it was like. I think you would have seen one or two board changes when you were there.
Yeah, no, it was messy, and I from my very first day, I thought, you don't realise how good you had it at the Dogs when it comes to the foundations and the camaraderie and the stability with from the top down.
How do the Dogs have stability then? Because they got the system we used to have where you can get voted in and out. How come they got some stability?
I wouldn't know how the board works, Timmy, but it was just what Bullfrog built in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it became the family club.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about it, and then I realised as I came in, when I first entered Belmore, it was just this old dingy gym, and it was like all you could hear was the plates dropping, hitting the deck, the bikes going, the rowers. You'd look up on the walls, you'd see like all the 90s players that had played for Australia, Jim Dimmick, Dean Pace, Smith, and it was like Ewan McGrady, Rothman Child medalist, and you were like, as a South junior, I looked up on the wall and went, all right, I need to buy into that. You know, this is what I've come here. I need to find out what the culture is of this club.
Yeah.
And quickly you find out that there's the 80s team and then there's the 90s and then us in the early thousands, we just had to ride off the back of what came before us and respect what came before us. It was, it was fairly easy to buy in, and it was all built on hard work. Like the training sessions were
So how do they fix it? Like, so obviously they turned the corner. What do they do?
For Para,
how did the Dogs fix it? How did they get from where they were the last couple of years to where they are this year?
Well, Serraldo actually went back and wanted to know what the players were doing of the 80s, the 90s, the early thousands. They invited a lot of the ex-players back.
Yeah.
And it's important for Ciro to create his own identity.
Yeah.
These guys have their own DNA. They've got to create, but it all comes back to off the back of hard work.
Yeah.
And you're just a caretaker of a jersey for the time being of the people that came before you. So you got to understand that this is what the club was built on.
Yeah.
We want you to create your own future and your own identity, but fundamentally, it's all about hard work.
Well, you've got your foundation, and essentially you just want to put brick by brick, mortar with mortar, you know what I mean? And then obviously build your structure. And like, I actually say this for later in the show.
By the way, turn to a construction site.
Yeah, typical Lebanese. Typical Lebanese. I actually, I had this chat later in the show, but I think this conversation has really taken us there. Just about culture. Like, what's good culture look like to you? Like, obviously, we've been in good teams, good clubs, and then obviously we've been part of bad teams and bad clubs. Like, what separates the two in your eyes, Ren?
Well, look, I had to buy into a culture that was already built.
That word just there, buy in.
Buy in. You know, you had to buy in. And like I said, I remember Rabbitohs Junior had nothing to do with the Canterbury area. But for me to survive and evolve as a rugby league player, it was about buying into what was already built. And if you didn't buy in, you're out the door. Gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
You know when I think you get yourself in trouble? When clubs have this reliance on individuals and talent. Like, I feel like the strong teams don't have that reliance on particular individuals. Like, you look at Penrith, Melbourne, now Canterbury. Like, everyone does their job. Their Crocs is all about work ethic, working for each other, buying in to a common goal. Tim, you kind of can relate?
Well, I look at Melbourne, and I look at, from culture point of view, I feel like they've nailed a lot of that you talk about. Doesn't matter who you are, everyone's got, and they weed out the guys pretty quickly if they don't fit in.
It's like a no dickhead policy, right?
Yep.
We've all heard that saying.
Yeah. I grew up in a culture at Parramatta that was really, really good. Like, we had the same board for 30 years. Brian Smith was a coach for 10 years, but he was really good at structures. And like, from growing up as a 14, 15-year-old in the club, we're all like mini robots. We all were trained like first graders. And then just there was a real care. Like, you walk in, there's a lady called Arnie Kate at the front office who would like make you sandwiches and tea, and it just really like it wasn't a family club, but it felt like everyone was on the same page. It doesn't matter whether you were on the board, in the office, on the footy field, everyone was going the same way. Then we had 4 different board changes. You know, I played under 6 different coaches, 6 different CEOs came in and out. And along the way, I've experienced what poor culture feels like, and it's hard to explain to people now at the club because it's. No one at the club, maybe 1 or 2 people, were there, 20 years ago when it was amazing. So it's kind of, I've got to feel and experience what good and not good feels like. And it's a big difference. So how do you create it? How do you build it? That's a good question. But there's definitely a different feeling when you're in a culture, like a club that has a good culture, and when it doesn't have it. Yeah.
What about you, Ren?
Yeah, look, I mean, I pretty much think I've explained it probably because talent isn't enough anymore.
No.
No. Like, I think the game is, players are so athletic these days that it's not about talent. It's about team first.
100%.
Team first. It's not about you. It's always team first. And it's the hard work, building connection, building a bond. I was really lucky that the players that I played alongside were really close. When we played together, we were all really close.
We're all good mates, yeah.
Really close.
Yeah.
We just didn't get the results.
With that, I think that's detrimental in a way, though. Like, if you are very close with your teammates, it's good and bad because sometimes, like, it's very hard to hold each other accountable as well. And is that something you guys experienced?
Spot on. So when I first came in 11, I just come off the back of a 2-year ban, and I came there, and the squad was fairly young, and then there was Hindy. Like, I'd played for Australia with Hindy, and I had a bit of a relationship with him, but he was at the back end of his career, and I just knew that he was he led with his actions. He wasn't one of those guys before a game that was going to give you this motivational speech. He was just going to go, I'm going to kill someone. He just led with his actions, right? Yeah. I tell you who was the most unbelievable, the best motivator I ever played alongside? James Graham. Yeah, him and Mick Ennis. I see that. Yeah. And as an older player in 2014 when I went back there, like I played alongside some great players and, and some good teams. James Graham and Mick Ennis were the two best motivators, two best captains I'd ever listened to before a game. It wasn't the same lip service every week. Everything was
had a theme.
Everything was like, we need to do this, this, and this. Get on the back of me because every week those two were going to go and do it.
And you knew they were going to do it. So when they say
you knew they were going to do it. So I was like, wow, I'm the oldest in this team, and these guys are motivating me.
Yeah.
When we were at Para in 11, 12, 13, there wasn't enough leaders. There was like, we were all just like a young, fairly young
Jared
squad.
and I were captain with you, and we were both 24, 25.
You guys were babies, man. You know, like I'm 6, 7 years older than you guys, and I knew I wasn't a captain. Yeah. You were a leader, Timmy, but you didn't have the right support around you.
We're young still, like we're still learning. Like,
But you've always had those leadership characteristics. You've always been a leader. You just didn't have enough support. You've got to have 3, 4, 5 leaders to build a good culture, right? Older players. It only takes one to destroy a culture.
Yeah.
It takes one bad person.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree. I think like what you're saying there is spot on because I like to call them like the cultural architects, right? You know, we had something at Penrith where
architect, building.
You're very quick. You keep throwing me off whack. That's okay. But like, so like everyone had their kind of strengths and roles, right? Like, I kind of was like head of culture, so like I could understand the mood and feel around the joint and connecting us together as a group. You know, you had Nathan, Yowie, and that was all about process. You know, what theme are we going to go with this week? How we're going to play, of course. And then you have guys like, remember Zane Tenavato? Zane Tenavato, like my rock hard. We used to call him Mr. Intensity. And he would just set the intensity of every single training session. And he'll be busted, but you wouldn't even know he's busted. And that comes with so much respect, right, from your peers. So everyone had their own role. Even Uppy, right? Like he was kind of like the head of the engine room. Like, you know, he was the glue to all the middles. Everyone just has their own strength and their own ways to kind of deliver that to the team. And I thought it's really important. I think that was a good point because like, you have your captains and your vice captains, but all the reliance shouldn't be on those two guys. You need, again, the buy-in. And you need a group that kind of really supports that. With your pillars, right? Your pillars.
So you've got older guys that set standards, you know, and when I played in the early thousands, again, I'm referencing that era, but I'd say the average age was a lot older. So there was a lot of guys in their late 20s, early 30s, you know, the Reardons, the Hughes, Perry, even though they just set standards, you know, and we had all young guys that just sort of bought into what their standards were. Yeah, we were a bit loose off the field, but when we turned up Monday, these are the non-negotiables. Tony Grimaldi, you know, we had a perfect balance, but we would not have had success without those older guys being good leaders, be good mentors. You know, like Steve Price used to grab me and say, "Reni, you're on a slippery slope here, mate." You know, and for me as a 20-year-old or 21-year-old winning, you know, I'm like, whatever, mate.
Yeah.
But when it came to like, all right, I'll turn up and I'll do my job and I'll make sure I train hard.
Yeah. Stuart was like that with me on my debut year. Like I remember like it used to be, you know, before the training session, we'll go in the gym, do our stretching, our prehab. And then I started just missing out on that. I was like, and he's pulled me up, I'll never forget. And he goes, mate, like what's going on? Like trying to hold me accountable. And I was like this young punk. And I'm like, I think I know better. I'm killing it. Like, and things I took kind of for granted. That's probably one, you know. Just thinking I know more than a guy that's played so many years in his career. Just because I might be probably doing better than him in form wise. Anyway,
rugby league players and egos, Timmy. You have to have an ego.
Yeah,
but I think you have to know how to control it.
You've got to have a controlled ego.
Yeah. It's a good chat. Boys, thanks for that. That was great input.
Yeah, very deep.
Yeah, it was very deep to start us off. All right, before we dive into our reviews of the last few games, Listen, I need to thank you boys for coming in, for your time. I know you're a busy man, Timmy, like the busiest man alive, you know. So I had to obviously get you a little bit of a gift from our proud sponsor, ShoeGrab. Boys, dive in, Reni. This is probably like your fifth pair, surely.
Jay.
What you got me?
I know you've been messaging.
I should have 5 pairs.
Congratulations on getting yours. Thank you.
Pleasure, boys. Give us a bit of a reveal. What do you got? Show us.
Grey number.
Very nice. And you know what? That would suit your
dunks,
suit.
is that what they call?
They are the dunks. Yeah. Oh, they are nice.
Hey. I've actually
So Jay actually said that he wanted to get you a pair of those, but you know, you maybe not your look.
I've taken up walking.
Have you?
Did a walk from Maroubra to Coogee yesterday with the big fella Willie Mason.
Your hot girl walk,
Bro. He set a pace early. I said, mate, I thought we were walking. He goes, this is how I walk. I said, mate, you're 6'5", you know?
Yeah.
So he just get ahead of me and then I have to catch up with him. And so, you know, these runners are going to come in handy. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, ShoeGrab.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Now, for you, mate.
talk to me.
Do I still send the invoice through or do it? Is this instead of the invoice?
No, that is the incentive for you to come on. Yeah.
We didn't talk price before I got here, so.
Mate, I thought we were mates. Typical Lebo.
Cash. I won't invoice you. Cash.
No. We'll sort something out later. What a first week of finals footy, eh?
Cracker.
Any surprise for you boys or pretty much stock standard, like happy with the results? Tim, I'll start with you.
I was very impressed with the elimination games. So, you know, the Cowboys game, the Knights game, and obviously, you know, the Bulldogs and the
Seagulls.
Seagulls.
What a way to finish off.
I went into this week thinking it's a 2-horse race.
Me too.
And I left the weekend thinking even more so it's a 2-horse race. Like none of those teams are going to beat Melbourne or Penrith. Like it was great entertainment. I enjoyed watching it. But Melbourne and Penrith, they flexed their muscles. They just showed everyone, hey, you guys, we're here and you guys are all here.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Panthers, let's start off with that first game.
Yeah.
Obviously, Panthers defeating Roosters 30-10. I thought that first 40 minutes was the most perfect standard of football I've seen all year. Like, that was unbelievable. Penrith just had the foot on the throat. I felt sorry for Sandon Smith. Jesus Christ. Like, the kid's just come in and he's just had... Yeah. He's had no opportunity to do his thing.
They are ruthless.
That's the word, yeah.
Ruthless sauce. I mean, I've never seen a team want to rip your limbs off, take your heart, rip your throat out the way they did that. You know, and you can forgive them for having one sort of eye on the semis, you know, like, but when it gets to that point, the pointy end, it's like, all right, you want to target Cleary? Boom, shot. Yeah. They just fight for everything. They're so aggressive across the park. And mate, I am just in awe of this team.
I just think they don't look too far ahead. Like they focus on the present. All right, they got Roosters. Let's overcome that challenge first, and then we'll worry about what comes after that.
Yeah. The feeling I got watching that was the same in the Melbourne game. Was they get to the finals and everything just starts again. Like most teams are happy to get there, and then they're just trying to see how far we can go.
Yeah.
They get to the finals. Now we mean business, and they just play this whole new level of footy. Penrith, I loved watching them play, but they just. I played against Nathan all that towards the end of my career. That was when their kind of juggernaut was just starting, and they make you feel like you're suffocating. They just kind of keep squeezing, kick to the corner, repeats it. They're not in a rush to win the game
over and over again.
They just get to the point where they just wear you down. And they just go, "All right, we're gonna kick the door down now." Yeah, but against the Roosters, from the get go, it's just like we're gonna like come out of the blocks firing, and they crushed them.
There's just one thing I noticed. I watched. Toddy Carney mentioned something about Cleary, and I noticed it as well. It's like a game of chess, right? So he drops off like a bishop or his pawn, like he sacrifices someone, and then he'd sprint to the left side to set up for a scenario.
Yeah.
Not like I'm going to wait to see where that pawn ends up in case he gets his arm free.
They know.
I'm just going to sacrifice. And then you know how most sets you've got like maybe in an attacking set you've got two scenarios. You know, get to a point for a play, for a play,
short side or your long
for a
side
kick.
option.
They've got 3 and 4 scenarios in every set. They are just all right, the fullback's in the line. He's gonna ghost on the short side. We're going open. Everyone's got eyes up. Where's the fullback? Scenario for scenario for scenario. It's incredible, man.
You know what play I love?
It's incredible.
Do you remember the Luke Garner second try when he put in that grubber?
Kick through.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's almost like undefendable. You can't defend that play.
Well, they ran a double lead.
Right?
Held up.
You have to defend the lead. Yeah.
They had a double lead for a double lead, right? And then fullbacks caught in. Teddy was still at marker.
He was stuck at half A.
He's stuck ghost in a day. We're just going to roll it through.
And only roll through, perfectly roll through.
Yeah,
Clinical.
Just enough depth, right through the gap.
Clinical, mate.
Well, the thing is with that play, like if obviously Joey Manu and I think it was Daniel Tupou at the time, if they don't rush out to try and jam Dylan Edwards and obviously Paul Alamoni at the centre position, then okay, that's my position. That's my opportunity
That's
to
what the
roll it
double
in.
lead runs.
Yeah.
It keeps them honest.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know?
If they don't, then okay, I'll throw it at the back to create a 3-on-2.
Exactly. Clinical, man, and the way they execute and Cleary to come back. I've got the same injury. I know he's got that sublux. Like I played 10 weeks with it and it's fucking painful, man.
Yeah,
Like, we just had no troops. So Mike kept popping out the back and I could see he had the seatbelt on.
Yeah.
You know, the one that goes
Yeah.
to your groin.
Yeah.
You can take, but he just went, there ain't nothing wrong with my shoulder.
Yeah,
You wanna run at me?
He tested
Oh.
it. He ran. He tried.
That run first mentality and just his kicking game. He ran it on the last. That's when they rattled the Roosters in the first set. They hit Martin because everyone's dropping back. And I thought, oh, okay, they're on here. They're on it.
What about the Roosters though?
This is my thing about the Roosters, right? So I want to say this respectfully because they've got such a great team. They just play a style of footy that's nice.
It's not sustainable.
No, it's just nice. Like it's
sustainable. I get what you're
they,
saying.
they play cute. You know, like there's no aggression. When Jared's out and Radley's out, they get through their processes. Like, we'll catch you, we'll swing you to the side, we'll chase from marker. There's no like, hey, we're going to come after you. We're going to fight fire with fire. Lindsay Collins, like, I haven't seen him aim up like he did to make his Origin debut. They just, I want to challenge them, and I'm not bagging them. I just like, show me some aggression, boys.
I might disagree with you on Reni.
Yeah?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I still feel like they've got that mongrel in them. What gets them found out is when they come up against like a Penrith or a Melbourne, those two teams that will just happily suffocate you. 5 settlers, kick to a corner, on repeat. Roosters want to step out of that and just try and solve it. Like they'll get frustrated. And I feel like they play high-risk footy to try and achieve that high reward. And sometimes when that doesn't come off, they compound that. They stay in that rut, and
Yeah.
they just there's no secret where they've only like the last 4 years they've only beaten Melbourne once, Penrith none. There's something missing there, and I feel like it comes back to their discipline and the discipline on the ball and the conceding too many penalties.
Their team's strong. Look at their lineup. They've
They're
got
the best attacking side in the competition.
Yeah, so,
best attacking side.
Yeah.
But now they've got no Sammy Walker, Victor Bradley, Cheese. Can they go a step further without those guys?
I just want to see some aggression. I want them to come out and just throw the process out the window and go, I challenge you. Fish, I challenge you. Leota, I challenge you.
Because they've got guys
Who's
to do
stepping
it.
up?
Well,
Well, Jared
back
was
now.
out.
He's back now.
Well,
Right,
they got
so-
Hargraves and Spencer.
So Spencer can't do it on his own, right? That white kid that comes off the bench, he took some really tough carries. Dylan Edwards was bending the line every time at the middles, bending the line at front rowers. Pick up that fullback and drag him back to the other side towards his post. Don't let a fullback run over you, bro. You're the middles. You're the enforcers, right? And it just bleeds from the inside out. I just want to see some aggression, because I love that team. I love the players that make 1 to 17. They're a great team, but they're not Penrith and they're not Melbourne when it comes to aggression.
Speaking of Melbourne, obviously one of the first games to be played on the Saturday.
Good done.
You like that?
Yeah.
And they were pretty convincing in their win against the Sharks, 37-10. I'll throw it to you, Tim. What did you think of the game?
Oh, I think Melbourne are a powerhouse, man. Like, I can't pick who's going to win out of them, Penrith, because they'll be their grand final day, but I can't pick who's going to win that. The thing I love about Melbourne is the guys that you don't expect to be their stars are the ones that are shining. Like Munster can have an off night, but then Wishart and Pappenhausen will kill it.
Not reliant.
Everyone just kind of they can all step up when they need to. But when they play finals footy, like I said, they kind of went to a new level. It's like, okay, we're the best at this. So we played them, 9. I know it's a different looking side, but we got blown out the park in the first 20 minutes in the grand final. And I felt like it was a team that is so experienced in big games that they said, like, you guys aren't on our level in these big games. And that's what they did on the weekends. Like they came in, they have so much big game experience, whether it's Origin or finals footy, and they just went, we're better than you. We'll win this easily.
Ren?
Munster. 17 carries, man. 17 carries.
I love that.
When your half is taking carries into the line, it's like, if you're Nelson, all that, he's going to do it. I'm getting on the back of that. You know, like, and that sets the platform for the tone of what they want to play. Semi-finals football is like Origin. It's all high percentage players. We're just going to run. It's a run-first mentality. We don't need to do the fancy stuff. We'll break them down through the middle, and then when we pull the trigger, we'll get the results. Yeah. You know, Harry Grant scores 3 tries. Jerome Humes gets some, you know, good touches.
But even Warbury, they're these players.
Unheralded stars, right?
They're just these 2 top teams. They're just well-oiled machines. It's like one membrane. It's like they just all are thinking on the same wavelength across the park, right?
But if you had to pick the 2 best cultures in the competition, those 2 teams are culturally above everyone else.
Well, speaking of cultures, the top 3 sides, you've got Melbourne, Penrith, Roosters. It's no secret. Even Cronulla. You throw in Cronulla there. Like Craig Fitzgibbon's done an amazing job with that side. They're 4 great cultures, and I'm telling you, man. Like I truly believe, like if you don't buy into culture, into team first mentality, things fall apart. It's not sustainable.
It's all comes from the top, right? But because you know, like you think about the Melbourne culture for this long. Like I like to throw this one in here and there. Chris Anderson wins the first premiership. Well, who's Chris Anderson? A Bulldog.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Here we go.
Yeah. It's you know, and then Bellyache comes in, and then you got Frank Panisi who's been there forever.
Yeah,
it all like you got strong stability from the top.
Yeah,
and you get blessed with the big 3. You know,
You
know,
that's always been their blueprint. Like I think with Melbourne, they've always invested heavily on their spine 1, 6, 7, 9, and everything just flows off the back of them. Then you obviously back in the day you had Smith, Slater, Cronk.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these other guys coming in, workers.
I don't know if it's too soon, but when you had the conversation of how far off, like will Harry, Jerome, Munster, will they ever be better than the big 3? Like, because they're not far off. Like, I know it's going to be controversial.
Well, you got GI. I think
you don't think they're far off,
mate. Well, I think by the end of their careers, we're going to look back and think, you know what, they were not far off the other guys.
They'll never be far off. But they ain't that 3.
Yeah,
They'll never be that 3.
But
I think Harry Grant's got the potential to emulate what Cameron Smith has done in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know about Billy Slater.
And Cooper going to Roosters, he proves how good he was.
Like for me, I think Billy Slater's the best out of that.
But my point is, if any other club lost those 3, they're done for a while. How do you get one of the best spines in the competition now after losing those 3? They've got the best spine.
No, you look at Penrith's spine, and then you throw Yowie into it.
Yeah,
as an extra spine. So you got you've got the 13, the 1, the 7, and the 9 at Penrith. That's the spine. 4 of them, you know, and then you've got Paps, Grant. Oh, well, you've got 4. You got 5 in that spine. I mean, with Luai as well, and then you've got 4 in the Melbourne side.
Yeah,
Yowie's the glue to that bloody team.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's obviously their leader. I think everything evolves off the back of him. Like, if he's not on, the team's not on.
Right. And he had that run-first mentality. So
and over 200 metres.
So, you know, Melbourne, you know.
What about Sharks, bud? Do you think Sharks are just making up the numbers? Like, I think there's a pretty damning stat. Like, they've been bundled out of the finals for the last 2-3 years now. And we talk about, like, what's that, sorry?
They lost like 8 of their last 9
Yeah,
finals,
something ridiculous like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of, like, scar tissue and mental demons there. I'm sure that player's in the back of the players' minds. Do you think they've got what it takes to win this weekend?
Nah, I reckon they'll lose this weekend.
Yeah. You reckon they'll lose? You reckon Cowboys beat them?
Well, let's address the elephant in the room, like Nico, right? Obviously, everyone's come out and said that potentially that he could get dropped. With forget what money he's on. I don't give a shit what money he's on. Like, good luck to you. But in a semi-final and you don't find touch, there's a confidence problem, right? You got to find touch in there. He is moments in that game. His face looks, he just looks blank. You know, it doesn't look like he's obviously not enjoying the moments. For me, Fitzgibbon has to make a team decision. What's best for the team, not what's best for Nico. Right? He's going to back Nico now because now there's so much noise coming out this week about Nico. Fitzy's going to back him. But what's best for the team in a do-or-die semi-final? Is it Atkinson? And if he has to make that decision, bring him in. It doesn't...
I don't know. I reckon, Nico didn't have his best game, but a lot of times your halves, as good as they are, they're kind of limited. Like if your forward pack's not giving you the foundation or giving you the platform, you kind of limited what you can and can't do. I think they gave him nothing to work off.
Yeah.
That said, I don't think he had a great game, but I think to like pinpoint one person for the loss, I reckon he probably wasn't the reason they lost.
I think it's probably an accumulation of finals, right? It's spilled over from last year. It's just a decision, and that's why Fitzy's the coach. You know, like you get paid to make these big decisions.
Yeah.
Is the drums are beating, the noise is getting louder. You know, he's really down in confidence.
Yeah.
He is. I think there's a few symptoms because of that. Obviously, there's been a lot of big moments this year where, unfortunately, they haven't gone his way. Yeah. And there's been times where, like the first game in Origin, first 7 minutes of a game, you go down to 12 men, scripts out the window, you're gone, you're fucked. Like that's not his fault, but unfortunately, that's the reality, right? As harsh as it is. Mm-hmm. And also, like him win the Daily M in, 2022?
Yeah, on his landslide.
It was actually, I think it's actually going against him now.
Right.
Because he's set the bar so high.
Agreed.
He's also been in a side that's been so consistent, that's played so well. Melbourne, he's come to Cronulla. They've been playing so well the last couple of years. They've been a top 4 side the last few seasons as well. And now it's just a stark contrast from that 2022 season to now, to the Nico Hines we've got now. And I'm sure he'll be the first to put his hand up because us three can talk from experience. There's been a part in our careers where we've been low in the dumps, we've played with zero confidence, and I know from experience, like I'll go back. It's not that I'm not working hard. I'll go back in the gym, I'll go back in the training paddock, I'll be training as hard as I can, but there's something in your head that just doesn't feel right. I don't know if you guys have had that.
Are you talking about like now, like the last couple of weeks? Or?
Correct. Or just... No, not the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to be serious, Tim. I just feel the harder you train, the further like you dig yourself in a hole.
Like we spoke about 2013 when we were bashing each other at Mudgee, or when we're going through a bad trot, and sometimes coaches or players will the answer is to just work harder or get more physical. So a lot of times that kind of compounds it. But then again, I don't know the perfect answer. Sometimes I've had coaches give you a week off, and you come back and you do really good and you win that game, and they think that's the formula, and like you do it again and then you lose. So it's hard to kind of
people forget as well. He's coming off a high ankle sprain, like a high syndesmosis. So that's not easy to come back.
Yeah, but so is Cleary. He's got a sublux shoulder. He ices a game. These are the market you're expected to ice these moments, you know. And
Mitch Moses came back from an injury and nailed it.
So I can't use injury as an excuse. If you're not ready, don't play, right? So. If you've trained your ass off for 10 months, you expect your marquee player to ice moments. This is do or die now. And I'm not like, I admire Nico as a player, but we can't keep cuddling his emotion. It's like, you got to nail these moments, bro. You're on the big bucks for a reason because you are our leader. If you can't do it, then the noise is going to get louder.
That's
as simple as that, man.
It won't go away until he comes out and absolutely blitz it. And I hope to God, I hope it's this week.
Cowboys is a team that he can get his confidence back with, because Cowboys defense has been up and down all year, and there's plenty of opportunity for him to take those short sides, to pull them apart on edges. This is the game I reckon Nico can bring back confidence.
Well, let's dive into the Cowboys. Like, obviously, they had a pretty good win last week against the Knights. You're speaking of defense, though. Like, the last 2 games they've played, they've been pretty resilient and pretty defensively sound, right? I know they came up against the Dogs that were undermanned. I think they only conceded 1 try. It was a bit of a fluky try as well. And they came up against the Knights side where they were pretty physical. But, I think ultimately the Knights were just making up the numbers in the end. Do you think the Cowboys can cause an upset this week? Like, going off those last couple of weeks?
I reckon,
yeah.
I reckon they can cause the upset. I think they've. The thing is, they remind me of the Dragons this year. Like on their day, they can be unstoppable. They're freaks, but then they can have a day where they're just shocking. So like, you just don't know what version's going to come this week. If they turn up with the right attitude and they play the way they can play, they can definitely win this game for sure.
For the Sharks, I'd be going through the front door. I'd be going through the middle, and I'd be targeting their 4 men, Lukey and Nanai. I think they're 2 young back rowers that are making poor decisions under pressure. If I'm the Sharks, I'd be going, all right, Hines, I'd be saying, boys, we're going through the front door. I want our front rowers to have a short passing game. Just tips, little tip-ons. So your back rowers, halves pushing up. Attack their middle.
That's a great point.
To pull them apart on the edge.
You know when Blake Brayley's had more responsibility, they look they look unbelievable.
I hope the listeners are enjoying this. So like this is what we get to see, obviously, when you're in the NRL in a sanctum. But Reni's got this, like, Reni's got this, like, he has this blueprint. Like, he can actually break down games better than most people. And there's a reason why he was captain. But he's actually a very smart footy brain. So I'm glad that people get to see this side of him because when it comes to like game plans or how to best approach a team, this guy is very good at it.
I'm a bit of a Rain man. Thank you, Timmy.
I was actually since he just gave you the massive rap. Producer Nick, can you bring out the flowers that Nick just brought ready as well? Like, do you want? Oh my God, he's got a hug. You want to give a kiss?
Well, I'll send an invoice for him as well.
I wish my understanding of the game I could back it up with my performance on the field. I've just one thing. It's all I've known since I was 4 years old is footy. So I think Sharks, if they can break them down through the middle, attack their 4 men. So get to the edge of the middles, bring the 9 in it, Lukey, make them make some poor decisions, then they're going to have opportunity on the edges.
Can we just quickly touch on the Knights? Obviously off the back of their loss last week. Yeah. I think they're in a bit of a weird, awkward position at the moment. Like I know there's a big reliance on Kalyn Ponga.
Yeah.
If he's fit and firing, they tend to do well, right? Now you played in a side where Hainsey had an absolute belt of a year. You obviously relied on him a lot, right? Yeah. But it wasn't sustainable, correct?
Nah, but obviously, like we'll talk about, there's a lot of things going wrong at the club at the time. It wasn't just,
of course,
yeah, it was like a mixture, like different, everything that shouldn't happen in the club was happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you rely on one player too much, like we got into 09, we were minutes away from winning a grand final to missing out in the finals next year. And a lot of the 09 probably relied on Hainsey too much. Then the next year we probably relied on him way too much because if he wasn't in the team, we wouldn't have confidence to win the game. He wouldn't. When he was in the team, we'd do better. I think that reliance isn't healthy. So, yeah, nothing to do with Hainsey. There's no knocking him, but just the rest of our mentality probably put him up on this pedestal that made us feel that we couldn't win without him. And I think that's unhealthy. I think the Knights, I'm not sold on them yet. Like I know they've done really well last year to kind of rally to the back end of the year, and this year they got into the 8 again. But there's something missing at the Knights. I don't know what it is. Like I'm not convinced. I kind of watch them and I'm like, yeah, they made the 8 again, but yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I don't know. A couple more things on it.
Well, Gags and Freeze, they don't have long left, like in their careers. Like they lose those 2 guys. That's a lot of experience and leadership and quality gone. Agreed. They've got Leo Thompson, who's their number 1 enforcer, who's been rumoured to go to the Dogs. They lose him, they're in all sorts. They've also tapped Daniel Saifidi, that other big bopper. They've also got two guys in the spine. Well, 4 guys. They don't even know who's going to play half or 5'8", week in, week out. Everything evolves around the spine, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think they're in
you've got Brayley, you've got Crossland, you've got Cogger.
Gamble.
Cogger's a handy half, but you can't expect. You can nullify Kalyn's game by where the ball's going, right? So there's no real.
You preview that. You can preview
that,
yeah.
On the other side of the ruck, because I like to use Jared or Kalyn just as much as a decoy as I would as a threat.
Yeah.
If if you think the ball's going one way, I'm like, let's pull the trigger here. We've got 4 on 4.
Cherry Evans really good at that. Like he knows what Turbo is and how much attention he gets.
Yeah.
So Cherry's really good at if he sees that he's getting too much attention, he'll use the opportunity against someone else.
Yeah.
I love Newcastle in terms of like if they're a bit like Bulldogs, Parra, the big teams. When they're going good, the whole game's buzzing. So everyone wants them to go well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got nothing to do with like I love the club. I just don't know how they. I don't know what it is that's missing at the moment, but I'm not convinced for the last few years.
I'll tell you what, they got Jackson Hastings as well. Forgot about that. Like this is where they stuffed up on, and I think this is. I have to point the finger at Adam O'Brien on this one. He, the chopping and changing with the halves. Your whole team evolves around who? Your spine,
I was say front rowers, but yeah, it's fine.
Biased opinion. But you know what I mean, right? They dictate how you play, the style, your identity, right? Jack Cogger's in 1 week, then it's Gamble, then it's Jackson Hastings. Now he's gone. Now it's Cogger's back, and then you've got Phoenix Crollan, who's playing 9 all season, now playing 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just feel like there's
you got to have stability throughout the year.
Thank you. How long has O'Brien been there for?
It's been
third year now, yeah. There was a funny clause in his contract that if the Knights didn't make 13 and above, that they could terminate his option.
13 and above, or 8.
If they were any less than 13th position, then they could kind of.
I don't mind that. I don't mind the professional sport, like coaches or people having like clauses in their contract that, and and if they make the top 4, give them a bonus. Like, I don't mind having like that to keep them accountable.
Yeah, you got to keep people accountable.
Well,
And it took them 27 rounds to get in the 8.
Yeah,
like that's.
I know that the first time in the 8.
They had to win that 27th round to get into the 8.
If they didn't beat the Dolphins, they wouldn't make that 8th position.
And mate, look, Kalen put on those performances in a losing side.
Oh my
Jesus.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man, he's
can I say it? I'll be honest. I was tossing up between, like, I threw this up. Scott Drinkwater or Kalen Ponga? Who would you
I can't
rather?
believe you even tossed that up. I nearly threw a Red Bull at you.
Oh yeah, I was like hedging my bets with Scott Drinkwater.
Drinking.
What, being a better player?
Like, who would you pick in your side?
Oh, no. Mate, I don't want to disrespect Scott, but come on. Like,
Oh no,
He was breaking ankles and those parts. Like, whoa.
Yeah, the way Caleb played the last couple of games. Oh my God.
How did you go from like?
Well, Scotty Drinkwater, he's been killing it, and like obviously Kalen's come back from
a lot
injury.
of fullbacks killer, but Kalen's like here, and there's a bit of a gap between other people. Like,
but is Kalen going to be like the Charles Barkley of the NRL? Like, just never win a championship.
There you go. That's the question.
Barkley never win one.
Never won one.
Come on, mate. I thought you were basketball. Man.
I'm not even basketball.
Yeah,
I knew that. Is he going to be the Barkley of the NRL, you know? Like, just go through his whole career.
I'll put the question to you. That was my next question. That was my next question. Can you see the Newcastle Knights winning a premiership in the next 3 years?
No.
Moving on. Sorry, Knights fans. Okay, your doggies.
Yeah.
I was there. I actually went from, like, I was calling the game with Joel Kane and Mark Carroll, and I went down the sideline for the last 20 minutes. It was the crowd was awesome. Like, and I've got a soft spot for the Dogs, so like I was, but that was a dominant team.
Why do you got a soft spot for him?
I used to go from.
Oh, you used to go for the Dogs. I used to go for the Dogs as well.
Yeah. No, I grew up a Dogs fan. I used to love this. I mean, growing up watching this guy. But yeah, so like I watched that game, mate. Dogs dominated. They dominated the whole game. But it's a great sign for Manly to know that in a big game, like Cherry Evans for me was a difference. Like he's experienced that. And Dogs are going to have some great years ahead. But in that game, Cherry Evans just showed why he's such a class player.
Experience cost them the game.
Yeah.
And it came down to the last 10 minutes. And not to point things out, you know. Unfortunately, young Moran dropping the ball, Sherry dropping the ball. Like, there was a little bit of momentum swings. That Booper said it, or Jammer said it last week, that it's going to come down to the last 10 minutes. And I said, I don't want it to come down to the last 10 minutes because experience will get them the win.
Good point.
You know, just hang in there. The Dogs were the better side. The battle between Kicks and Olakau'atu. Oh, my God. Olakau'atu is a scary man.
Can I say, he was catching that flat-footed, and then he would make 10 metres by just sticking out that palm and just bending the line back.
Yeah.
I love him. I even in defence too, like, the lights go out when he gets just whacks people.
Both of them, like Willie and
what about the try he scored? It was 40 metres out.
Yeah. Well, Willie, if you watch, almost every tackle gets in, he catches and tries to drag him back. Like he does drag him back. Like I love what the Dogs do in defence.
As a receiver, like you're just sitting under this bomb and you can just feel the ground shaking when Willie's
every
just
kick,
charge, every kick, and you just see the sun just get blocked out by Willie's presence.
Mate, when you're Willie's size and like in the forwards, it's not easy to do that every kick, man. Like chase it, like it takes a lot of energy and effort. But those little effort areas, I feel like that's what the Dogs built their season on. Like they were always, kick chase, kick pressure, inside pressure. They were doing all the things that other teams weren't doing.
Yeah. And they kept kicking to that right, Turbo's right corner, which is a bit of a blueprint for Roosters this week. He carries in his right arm, shoulder injury.
Yeah.
And he played 2 different games. You know, he was very ginger in the first half.
But there was sometimes he was taking that, he was denting the line.
Turbo.
I couldn't pick him. Like, he looked busted. I'm like, we'll call him in the commentary.
Have you done AC joint?
He did something physical. Like,
have you done your AC joint? Have you done?
Yeah.
Like, how vulnerable do you feel, right?
Yeah, and you can't even like lift your arm past here.
Yeah. Like I did mine in 2019, round 1 against you boys.
Yeah.
I missed 1 week, came back to 3rd. I was so underdone. Like I relied on injections for the next 10 rounds. It was but you can play with it. You can. It's just a pain management thing.
It's actually one of those injuries, like, if you did ribs, you can't really fix it like going into a game. Whereas you can needle it up and get through it pretty fine.
I think that try before halftime hurt the Dogs. 16-4 goes 16.
The Bullymore one?
Bullymore.
Forward pass?
Maybe, a little inexperience with Skelton coming in. giving Talau the sideline, just a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
It's just inexperience, right? It's like it was just like trust that Critter's going to get there. You push him over the sideline.
How good were the three from Penrith, like Critter, Birdo, and Kick Out, like those three
throughout the year, all year, really. You know, they really.
But even that game, like those guys
true.
who like led the way. Like you talk about experience with Cherry Evans and that. Dogs can like get excited because they've got those kind of senior players that will keep giving them more experience as the years go on.
Yeah.
Pass mark? You give him a pass mark?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Pass. Oh yeah, absolutely. It was sad. It was unfortunate that they lost the last three games of the season. You know, the regular round, the last two, and obviously the semi-final. But huge. It just stings a little bit, you know, like because they were the better side for 70 minutes. You know?
Even the guy that owns a cafe near my house, he's a Dogs fan, and he hasn't gotten over it. Like they're still just like it just stings still like that.
Well, I think there's a bit of conjecture around the Daly Cherry Evans try off the scrum. I don't know if you see the vision.
I saw that.
He didn't really pack in.
He got there quick, and then I saw that footage. But
I love the play.
Also, I love the play.
Play.
Love the play, but letter of the law.
Well, you look at what happened when the Dogs scored when Talau put that shot on Connor Tracy. Legal.
That's legal. That's
legal,
play on.
right?
That is
they go
play
down.
on.
We get a penalty. They go down. They score.
Yeah.
So,
Crackdown. Just all of a sudden disappeared. Where's this crackdown? Where all the sin bins gone? Where all the 6 again's gone?
Every year.
Mate, it makes me sick. It just makes my blood boil.
It makes me get annoyed during the season. I actually love it in the finals. I love it.
Oh, me too. But it should be like that every year.
In the season when they're doing it, and everyone says, you will not do that penalty in the grand final. Like, why are we doing it now? Like, why are we doing this? And it's almost like refs feel like the season's like their training ground.
Yeah.
And then when they get to the finals, okay, we'll just do it how it should be done. Like, why don't we do that all year? Like, I enjoy it more in the finals, but those people getting touched in the head like by that much, are blowing penalties, or people like, it was getting bad.
Yeah, I'll stay away from that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was our review. Let's preview a bit more deeper the next 2 games, shall we?
Deeper.
How
long you got me for?
Well, listen, mate.
The invoice is just going up.
Yeah, I know. 5.5 now. We went to overtime.
Can I say, we were booked in to go play paddle, right? I set up a whole afternoon, 3 kids are at home, they're missing their dad, and now we're not going.
Well, you're welcome. Go spend time with your family.
Yeah. Okay, true. What do Cronulla need to do to unravel the Cowboys this week? We touched on obviously going through the middle, but I think it's just a bit more than that. That's the honest truth. Because the last 2 years, they have bundled out of the finals. Okay. So how do they overcome that? I know it's not an easy thing to do, but Tim?
They've got to, like, in defense, they've got to kind of do what Dogs did last week. Like, they got to rush off their line. They got to, like, be in their face and just, like, I know it's a home game for them, but, like, kind of ambush the Cowboys. Kind of, like, get them off their game early.
Start fast.
Show them we're physical. We're here from the get-go. If they dip their toe in and hope the game goes their way, it'll be too late. The Cowboys will have control of it, and it'll be too hard to win it back. And I'm not even talking about scoreboard-wise. If you just let the Cowboys get comfortable and know that they're going to cruise through this, it'll be too late. So they've got to come out of the blocks firing.
The thing with the Cowboys, they will attack anywhere part of the field.
Yeah.
Any part of the field they will attack.
Yeah.
That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. I still feel like the Cowboys don't understand the grind and the arm wrestle. I don't think they respect it as much as the Cronulla Sharks do. Yeah. Again, Brand, it's a lot of the spotlight's going to be on Nico as well, but I'm actually keen to see how Braden Trindle steps up as well.
Yeah.
Like he's been good. I think they lacked his presence in the mid part of the year as well when he didn't play. And hopefully, I don't know.
Well, it's a pretty simple style of play. They know that Cowboys have struggled in a grind, so we're going for the grind.
Yep.
We're going to play a simple style of footy. We're going to challenge you through the middle. We're going to kick early. We're going to put it in the corner, make you come off your try line and see what you got. And we're just going to stay there. We're going to stay there. We're going to stay there until we're ready to pull the trigger. That's all they need to do.
Did you notice the theme that they went with last week? I actually noticed that Scott Drinkwater dropped it in his interview with Jonathan Thurston after the game. Todd Payton also dropped something in the press conference. And early last week, Adam O'Brien pretty much said that he believed that his side was, I quote, they were more tougher than their opposition. And I do see Scotty Drinker after the game pretty much say people questioned our toughness, but it looked like we were the tougher side end of the day.
Really?
Even Toddy Payton said something like that. So there was obviously a theme around.
What would a coach, like, why would O'Brien
rookie era, right?
motivated an opposition team like that? Like, you're just giving him ammunition. Like, here you go.
Like that was 100% in the video session. 100%.
Oh, yeah, they're talking about it.
Do you recall that any time in your career that you guys used that kind of as motivation?
I played Origin 2011 and Sticky was coach, and I think it was Peter Bedell or one of the Queensland journalists did a story about the worst Origin team picked, and we're up in Queensland, and it was on, and Sticky had it on everyone's front door, everyone's door of the hotel. We ended up winning that game, but it was just like that theme of the whole camp was about that worst team picks, whatever. I feel like it's just whenever you do that, we did that to Queensland a few years ago, like worst Queensland team pick, they came out and embarrassed us.
Thank you.
It's just giving so much more motivation to the players to go out there and play pants down.
I agree.
Des was like really against giving the media anything.
Yeah.
If you said anything in the media, you were like dragged to his office to explain why you said that. To never give anyone any motivation.
I love when coaches walk in the room and they say, I don't watch or listen to the news or anything, but they're saying this, isn't it?
Happens all the time. Yeah. Boys, how do we see this game one? Who wins?
I think the Sharks. I think the Sharks can bounce back. They can just. I'm confident. I'm not confident in Nico, but I'm praying. Like, I'm hoping. Like, he's a good kid, and I think Cowboys is the perfect team for his style of play to be able to turn it around. Just get into an arm wrestle, run first mentality, get into a grind. I think they can really strangle them into a victory and play like that Melbourne and Penrith style, I guess. Cowboys have got strike, but they don't want to arm wrestle, in my opinion.
I love Nico. I love his press conference yesterday. I thought it made me like him even more. I hope he kills it, but I'm just going to go Cowboys. I think Cowboys, they just got a lot of class on that side where...
Momentum?
But they got class too. Like, they'll outshine in the big moments. Like, you talk about Valentine Holmes and even like Tom Lolo. Like, I know people don't talk about him as much as they used to.
He's been playing good.
Mate, he's a good player. Like, so I just think McLean, I think Cowboys win this. I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a really good game. But I think Cowboys
good game.
I think Sharks. I'm going to go Sharks. Yeah, I think they bounce back. I think playing it in Sydney is going to benefit them. I just feel like they were a bit embarrassed last week, and that first half performance against Melbourne wasn't that bad. It was the second half where it just got away from them. Too many errors, too many penalties, and it just was too much. So
who they played last round of the season? They had that big win.
Jeez.
I remember watching that thing and these guys like when they're on, they can beat anyone.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Thanks for throwing that question because I've got no idea. I remember the scoreline.
Like 40 something.
Yeah, it was pretty convincing. But I think it's going to be a shootout. But like both sides got a lot of points in them. But I think Cronulla will
have the notes on there.
It's their palm cards. Yeah, no notes unfortunately. No,
is there any writing on it, or is it just like?
Do you want to take over?
You're
obviously cutting me off, so you might as well take over.
Thanks for the shoes, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I might take them back. All right, Roosters, Manly, Battle of the Birds. Listen, it's always close when these two match up. It's going to be a cracker of a game. Question on everyone's lips. Obviously, the Roosters are the best attacking side in the competition, but they're without Victor Radley, Sam Walker, and the Cheese.
Is Victor back this week?
Well, I heard of that.
Just check.
No, I didn't got it on my notes. I did see it, but they're nurturing him and they're going to try and get him back for finals. But there's still a massive
fractured scapula.
Injury.
That's a tough injury to come back
especially
from.
him. Like he plays the game hard.
Plays tough, right?
That's the worst injury I've done my whole life.
Didn't Cooper Cronk have something similar?
He played a grand final with it, which makes my respect for Cooper went through the roof because I did my scapula like the year before.
How did you describe it?
You can't walk. Like anytime your shoulder blade moves or bounces, it's the sharpest pain and the worst pain you can ever get. So the idea of playing footy with it, and he went through like a whole grand final. Like I know everyone's saying he played in a dinner suit, but just like jogging is the worst. And you can't. I know they would have.
Sounds like a bit like a rib cartilage.
So
sounds like a bit like a rib cartilage injury.
I've done rib cartilage. It's worse than rib cartilage. So it's a tough one to come back from, but. Yeah,
you can protect Coops.
And Radley's not like Coops. Like
he plays 100 miles an hour.
It'll be hard. Yeah.
With this game, it's Paseka. He needs to understand how big he is every week.
Every single week.
I would say just someone just Lodge you know what you're getting from Lodgy, right? He's an aggressive, no frills, respectfully, just
Your man as well.
Gets
Is he
Nathan
in
Brown.
the team or not?
no. Well, he's come back from Turkey.
No, he's gone.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so,
so
he's the
fine.
coach. He's the coach.
He's
No, well,
yeah,
does he get
he's
dropped on the Turkey team?
he
'Cause
got
now
dropped
he's
from the
done
Turkey.
it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you know what you're getting from Lodgy and Paseka, he just needs someone just to go, mate, we're going after this. Roosters
I think he's
team."
got someone to do that. Nathan Brown,
Well,
your man.
off the bench.
well, he's a great man that should be in the top 13 for the Turkey team.
Yeah, right.
'Cause,
This Turkey team's really taken off. Olakau'atu has gone beast mode, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I love the energy their forwards play with. Like, and Brownie come off the bench. Like, I know he's.
he looked like Shane Webke the other week.
Mate.
That's how hard he was running, coming
just-
off the back fence. I
yeah.
was going, oh, jeez,
You know
Webke's
what he
coming out of
does too?
retirement.
I noticed this when I was on radio the other day. Like, they call him backfence Brownie. Like, it's starting to take off. And there's signs. So I was watching him at Core Stadium. He stands on the back fence.
No.
He stands on the back. Like, he's playing
winding
up
up.
to it
He's
now. He's playing
winding
up to it.
up.
Yeah,
I love it.
You don't need to stand on the back fence, but he does it, and the crowd like it.
Yeah.
So, like, well done, Saucy. But he's been playing great, man. Like, he's considering, like, a year ago he was on the out of it everywhere and thinking, what am I going to do? I might
will take it.
retire. And now, like, he's got a new 2-year contract, and he's probably one of the better forwards in the comp at the moment. So, really happy for it.
Mate, and for Manly, it's just like, I'd be getting the board to Olakau'atu early.
Yeah.
Hey, get in there, get a touch, get in the washing machine, feel the contact.
I agree.
Because the sooner he gets into that game,
Yeah.
the more dangerous he becomes further and
Do they
further and
hide
further
Smith
into.
or because, like,
I think that's Kiri's side. I think that's Kiri's side.
Him and Angus Crichton going at it.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's where I reckon Penrith were pretty good. They just kept hammering the smaller guys in the Roosters team. And I reckon Manly will do the same thing. They'll start figuring out how.
Like if they can generate a quick play the ball and then just find Homole like one-on-one with Luke Keary.
Not even in any shape. Just get him the ball early. Paseka, Lodge. Like, just go out the Roosters.
Hargrave's been coming back is good though because he's
He's the leader. He's the alpha male of that.
Oh, jeez, he's
You know what? If they're coming down to the last 10 minutes and they can't win,
Yeah.
he's looking at a 3-month stint on the side.
oh,
He's going to Super League with 11.
With a holiday.
he's going to be charged.
Wait, G what? You're saying Hargraves? What was?
No, well, no, listen, I love Hargraves. I love what he
Yeah.
brings. I know he's a firebrand and stuff like that, but like the reality is you can't be fucking getting sin binned every single game, mate. Like,
That you're talking about.
like I know you're forwards. I know you look after each other. You're part of the forward union. Like, you know,
They won't.
but
see
seriously,
they won't be in this game. Trust me.
of course they're not.
They
But I don't know. Like I think he's perfect because obviously, like you said, Paseka, if he doesn't come with CUNT, I think Hargraves will get it over him on that in that regard. But
He's going for him.
oh,
Jared's
without
going
doubt,
after him.
100%.
Going after
He
all.
hasn't played in 3 weeks, mate. That guy, he's
Imagine that
starving.
could be your last game for the club. The guy's
He's
just,
starving.
Like he needs to be fed, the big man. I want to touch on the Roosters. Like I think they can't go back to the ways that they were playing with like Luke Keary and the Cheese. Like they got to change their whole style of their game, and I feel like it's the gamble that they have to just roll the dice on because. They're right now, like they've got, like I said, Sandy Smith, who's a very different style player to Sammy Walker in the way he plays at the moment. They're similar molds, but they're different styles. Like the timing and everything, the whole team needs to get adjusted to that. Then you obviously got Brandon Smith at 9. So everyone's got to change their run with Connor services, the Connor Watson service. Do you think they need to change or can they go back
I don't think they need to change. I just want to see some aggression. So I just want everything to be ruthless. I want them to scratch and claw for every centimetre of that footy field in offense and defense. Get the quick play of the ball, kick chase, line speed, hit to hurt. Nothing, just get rid of the process a little bit, you know, and just someone just bend out of the, just put a shoulder into someone and then just everyone jump on the back of that because they feed off that energy and that aggression. And yes, they got Jared back, but I just like last week, it was underwhelming, their aggression. You know, they're getting belted by this Penrith side. I was like, who's going to step up here? Put Spencer Leniu on earlier. Don't keep him off too long.
Yeah.
Like, that was a bad call from Robbo to keep him off till they were 22-0 down. You know, because he's that impact. He can change momentum of a game. If you have to burn a replacement card, burn it. Get him on.
no, Spencer, was he 23, 24? And he's won 3 comps already.
Isn't that wild?
Crazy.
I remember Spencer coming through as a kid, and when I first took notice of him was in the wrestle gym. You know Shark Bait? Remember Shark Bait?
Who's that kid at that dog's?
Man,
I think you know Shark Bait.
fuck.
Everyone knows Shark Bait.
Yeah,
It's part of the game.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I remember he was like, fuck, just get me in there. You know how someone, like, we wait for someone to jump in first? He was always the first one in, and he was like the Incredible Hulk, mate.
He's an animal.
He was so ferocious and powerful.
He's so good.
I remember, I think it was like I was in Shark Bait in the middle, and I think it was my third person, and Spencer's come out of nowhere. Oh my fucking God. It was like, I still went all right, but like, he's just so powerful, man. He's so fucking powerful.
He just gets on there, he creates chaos.
Yeah,
you know,
that's his job, right?
It's his job to create, and he does it better than anyone.
Yeah.
You know who's flown under the radar? James Tedesco. Why doesn't no one talk about him?
I think he kind of expects.
Yeah.
It's an expectation of what Teddy's going to bring.
Yeah,
because he performs every week. You know, he just his little like. It's like an annoying run, like he's just jinking one way and he's shaking someone off. Like bing, 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 bing.
He's strong, man. Like he's strong.
And he's had some big injuries early in his career. I don't know if you recall. He's done his patella, ACL.
Yeah.
He's had some big injuries.
That big backside of his, man, that's powerful, bro. Like sometimes you think you get a hold of him and he'll just like reverses out of you and like he'll just go again and just bounce
Think
around.
about the fullbacks we've got.
His big backside.
Big backside. Think about the fullbacks. The fullbacks we've got to choose from.
Yeah, powerful, man.
Yeah, far out.
Old Dooners. He's eating Dooners lately, old Hainsey.
Tackle burgers.
But you think about the Australian fullbacks we've got at the moment. Teddy, Kalen, Edwards.
Throw in Trebojevic if you want.
Turbo, Paps. Like, fuck. We've got some good fucking fullbacks in this competition, man.
Oh, let's narrow it down to three. You got Kalen, Teddy, Dylan. Is that a top three?
Yeah. That's the top three.
Okay.
Where's Reece? Reece Walsh.
Oh, he's a few years off.
He's a few years off.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah, he's
good
great.
fullbacks, eh?
Yeah.
A lot of good fullbacks.
Who do you pick for the Australian fullback
Pappenhausen's good.
right now? If you had to pick an Australian team right now,
Ooh.
Edwards or KP, Turbo or Teddy? Like, tough one, right?
I'd probably go towards after Origin series at Dylan.
I'd have Dylan as one.
I have Dylan as one as well. Yeah.
Especially if they go on to win the comp, like it's hard to ignore that.
Yeah.
Everything is done, right?
Yeah.
He's won an Origin series. He's won
What a
3
player,
comps in
man.
4
What a
years.
player.
And he's looking more.
And the Origin series was great, wasn't it?
I want to throw something at you. Who's the halfback for the Kangaroos? Moses or Cleary?
God, Cleary. Well, it's given he'll get shoulder surgery. He'll be out for the Australian team.
Yeah. So
But if he was fit,
yeah.
well, Mitch is injured too, isn't he?
Oh, I saw him last night. He's almost fully recovered.
What about DCE?
And DCA.
Do you give him that on, like that final, the last dance, and say, yeah, that's your Australian jersey?
If you pick it on the back of Origin, I'd go Mitch because I thought Mitch was awesome in Origin.
Yeah.
Don't forget we got bashed by 30 as well. In DCE it was half. Not that it's his fault, but like, is it the changing of the guard? You know, you Edwards, is it Mitch Moses? Because Cleary's going to be out. Who's going to be 6?
Yeah, well, I'll probably wait to see how Manly go this week. If Manly can like upset, who are they playing?
Are you joking right now? The Roosters.
Yeah, sorry, talking about
Get him a Red Bull. Get a Red Bull.
Hello.
If Manly win that, and then they get to the preliminary, I think Cherry would have earned.
Who's your tip
for what
this week? Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go Manly.
Yeah.
Go Manly.
I'm going Manly.
You go Manly too.
I'm going Manly.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, we're going to have a bit of devil's advocate here.
It's a flip of a coin though. Like it's.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm going Manly.
It is a flip of a coin. Far out. But yeah, I think you made a good point. It's going to be one for the middle for sure. Whoever steps up, brings that mongrel.
I don't know if you watched the Dogs Manly a couple of weeks ago, but mate, they won that through the middle. They 100% crushed them through the middle.
Yeah,
they couldn't.
If Manly do that this week, they win. Yeah.
Agreed.
We obviously know it's a 2-horse race, Melbourne Penrith, but let's just throw something in the mix. There's a dark horse and a side you can pick to unravel those two sides. Who would it be?
Mine's Manly.
Yeah,
I just think the experience of DCE. You get into those. I think they've got a solid pack. You know, that Bullymore and stuff like coming off the bench, and is it Lawton? You know, like they've got a decent pack, man. You've got Kohler, like genuine speed. You've got Lehigh Hopewadi, genuine speed. Turbo, obviously a little bit injured, but Turbo. I think they've got a team. I just don't know what team's going to turn up. So if anyone's outside of the top 2, I think Manly can upset some teams.
I was going to say Dogs, whether they outside of going to the finals. I reckon they could have actually won the comp because they had. If they got that confidence to believe going every week, it's like towards the finals. Like they probably would have done some damage. Now that Manly's beat them, and I'm with Reni, I reckon they've got all the like key ingredients to be able to.
I think so too.
Shake some cages at the end of the year. So I reckon they'll beat the Roosters, and then does that mean they play Melbourne? That'd be a good game.
I'll play Melbourne.
That'd be a good game.
It's a great rivalry. That.
So yeah, I'm gonna say Manly's my dark horse.
I'm gonna have to agree with you boys. Again, ingredients. They've got a good 4-pack, great outside backs. I think they're a smart footy side as well. Like they had to work hard against the Bulldogs. Like the set play off the scrum, Coolers try as well. Like going back to the Cooler try, like it all came off. It was a 5th tackle option, right? Cherry Evans took the line on inside border. Tommy caught Reid not tying in with the first marker. Pass, strips them for numbers down the sideline Cooler. So
you could argue that he's got the best kicking game out of the halves left in the competition. Long kicking game.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good sign to not be the better team of the day and come away with a win in such a big game. They'll go into this week with heaps of confidence.
Yeah. Well, boys, I think that's a wrap. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Sauce.
I know you've got 1,000 business meetings and you obviously be tapping Reni under the table to wrap this show up. But
no, you told me you needed me for about 20 minutes and we're still here. So
can talk out the water with Lebs, mate. So there's no surprise there.
Yeah.
Boys, again, thanks so much for coming on and till next time.
Thanks for the
Sauce. Thank you.
Cheers.